All right, let's dive right into this explainer and look at what is absolutely the ultimate macroeconomic pulse. If you've ever really wanted to decode the massive, complex gears that are constantly turning behind global finance, well, we need to talk about a market that practically dictates the pace of the modern world. Now, I want you to just think about this for a second. Out of all the assets, all the currencies, and the countless raw materials that are being traded globally every single day, what is the one single commodity that acts as a direct, real-time mirror for the health of our entire global economy? You probably guessed it. It's crude oil. We often hear it called black gold, but honestly, this isn't just some valuable liquid we pull out of the ground. The source material uses this really beautiful analogy, describing it as the literal vital artery of our global economy. Think about it. Just as blood keeps a physical body alive and moving, the continuous, uninterrupted flow of crude oil is what keeps the modern world producing and functioning. It's the lifeblood of the whole shebang. To really wrap our heads around why it's considered this fundamental economic artery, we just have to look at its core everyday uses. We're talking industrial production, global transportation, and the entire chemical industry. Every single time a massive factory spins up its assembly line, or a giant cargo ship crosses the Pacific, or even when we manufacture everyday plastics, oil is that core raw material making it all possible. And this dynamic, it creates a really fascinating macro to micro funnel because oil is so deeply, so permanently embedded in everything we do, its price is flawlessly dictated by the broader economic cycle. During a global economic expansion, you've got humming factories and active supply chains creating incredibly high demand, which pushes prices right up. But flip that around during a recession, activity grinds down, demand drops off a cliff, and prices fall. It's essentially a real-time scorecard for global financial health. Because oil is intimately tied to those massive macroeconomic shifts, it doesn't just bounce around randomly for no reason. This specific market behavior creates the absolute perfect battleground for a very specific type of investor, the trend follower. These are the savvy market players who totally ignore the daily noise. They bypass all those little short-term, day-to-day fluctuations, and instead, they deliberately aim to capitalize on strong, prolonged market directions. So you're probably wondering, what actually sets these prolonged, massive directions in motion? The source points to a few incredibly complex global drivers. You've got shifting geopolitics, unified production decisions coming out of OPEC, the ongoing and heavily debated green energy transition, and of course, global inflation data. When any of these fundamental pillars undergoes a real qualitative change, it completely shakes the foundation of the market. And when those global forces actually align, oh man, the result is incredible. Oil creates these massive, sustained waves. We are talking about strong, single-sided trends like massive runaway bull surges or really sharp, prolonged bear drops that can literally last for months or even years. The crude oil market is rarely one to get stuck in a narrow, boring, sideways chop. Once the economic fundamentals give it a push, it fully, absolutely commits to that direction. Okay, so practically speaking, how do you actually build your personal toolkit for this? The source breaks down 3 primary ways to jump in, depending entirely on your personal strategy. First, for the really active, aggressive traders, there are oil futures and CFDs, which offer high leverage and incredibly flexible long or short positioning. Now, if you prefer something a bit more straightforward for mid to short-term plays, oil ETFs provide super simple, highly effective price tracking. Or alternatively, you can look at energy stocks. Investing in upstream giants, think Exxon or Chevron, can give you great upside exposure to oil prices while often paying out some pretty solid dividends along the way. But look, we absolutely cannot ignore reality here. High volatility is for sure a double-edged sword. It is your biggest source of potential profit, yes, but it is also without a doubt your biggest risk. So the source lays out these absolute golden survival rules. First, always follow the trend. Never try to fight that massive macro momentum. Second, execute strict stop losses to protect your capital. You literally cannot survive without them. And finally, watch global inventory data and geopolitical shifts like a hawk, because those are your early warning signs. Ultimately, this is just such a thrilling environment. It's a place where the entire world's economic health converges right onto a single moving chart. By understanding those big picture core drivers and staying absolutely disciplined with your risk management, you can turn what looks like total chaos into a highly readable indicator. So, armed with the mindset of a true trend follower, are you ready to ride the massive waves of the global economic artery? Take a look at the macroeconomic data around you today and ask yourself, where is the current flowing next?